Hello and welcome to Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Roberts, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom. Let's take a look at the headlines. Presidency debunks interim government plot, says elections will hold. Representatives say CBN's narrow redesign policy may frustrate elections. Plus, death toll rises above 41,000 in Turkey-Syria quake. Details of these stories and more in a moment. And his government beyond May 29, 2023, or install an interim government. This is according to a statement signed by Bahari spokesperson Garba Shehu today. According to Shehu, the talk of an interim government and truncation of democracy is way off the mark. In another development, President Muhammadu Buhari has said that the cashless policy and the Naira redesign project of the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) have short and long-term benefits for the country in dealing with insecurity and corruption. The president noted that the Apex Bank should take the recommendation of a parliamentary committee to rectify identified challenges associated with the initiative, which had created imbroglio in the past few days. Buhari's comments came as the CBN Governor Godwin Emefiele gave an assurance that 200 Naira currency notes taken out of circulation would be returned and widely circulated effectively.
Associated with money laundering. Let me reassure Nigerians that strengthening our economy, enhancing security, and blockage of leakages associated with illicit financial flows remain top priority of our administration. We continue the implementation of new monetary policies aimed at boosting our economy and tightening of the loopholes associated with money laundering. Let me reassure Nigerians that strengthening our economy, enhancing security, and blockage of leakages associated with illicit financial flows.
Meanwhile, President Buhari has launched the High-Level Advisory Council on Support for Women and Girls, calling for upscaling of efforts for more inclusion of women in development policies and projects in Abuja. At the launch of Advisory Council, Adolescent Girls Initiative for Learning and Empowerment Project and National Women's Economic Empowerment Policy Dialogue, the President said the three initiatives will target reduction of poverty and building of a sustainable economy. Buhari noted that coordination had remained a key gap in the efforts to improve livelihoods and democratize opportunities for women and girls. The president expressed confidence that the policy dialogue will culminate in the launch of a transformative national policy on women's economic empowerment, which will be held in April 2023. Away from that, the federal government, through the Ministry of Budget and National Planning, has inaugurated the Governing Council of the Nigerian Institute of Social and Economic Research, NISCR. The Minister of State for Budget and National Planning, Clem Agba, during the inauguration stressed on the mandate of NISCR in driving social and economic research for national development. Agba said, according to the Nigerian Institute of Social and Economic Research Act of 1977, the Council shall be responsible for the determination of the overall policy of the Institute, particularly in the financial and operational programs, and ensuring the implementation of such policies and programs. He urged the Council to strengthen the financial base of the Institute by seeking novel, alternative, and sustainable funding sources, especially as the government struggles with economic downturn and dwindling revenue. In the meantime, now the Minister of Environment, Mohammed Hassan, says the government, in partnership with National Forestry Trust Fund (NFTF), is set to address issues of funding in the forestry sector. He noted that the funding support from international donors, corporate organizations, and private sectors has helped in carrying out some forestry development in the country. The minister, who spoke at the inauguration of the Governing Council of the National Forestry Trust Fund (NFTF) in Abuja, stated that the fund was established to address the critical issue of inadequate funding within the forestry sector through its ability to generate additional funds to supplement government budgetary provisions. Moving on now to the judiciary, where Supreme Court today in Abuja affirmed Lawal Usman as the senatorial candidate of the People's Democratic Party (PDP) for Kaduna Central Senatorial District of Kaduna State. The Apex Court upheld the December 19, 2022 judgment of the Court of Appeal in Abuja, which had earlier voided and set aside the decision of the Federal High Court in Kaduna in the fierce legal tussle for the ticket. Delivering judgment in an appeal filed by an aggrieved senatorial aspirant Ibrahim Usman, the Supreme Court held that courts have no jurisdiction to dabble into the internal and domestic affairs of political parties. The unanimous judgment was prepared by Justice Helen Ogunwumiju, but was delivered by Justice Emmanuel Akomaye Agem. Justice Agem, while dismissing the appeal for want of merit, said that the decision of the PDP National Working Committee on the May 23, 2022 primary election was correct and cannot be faulted. In the meantime, a former special assistant to the president in the office of the First Lady, Zainab Qasim, has filed a suit for the enforcement of her fundamental human rights against Aisha Buhari, demanding 100 million naira as damages from her and other respondents. The other respondents in the case are the Inspector General of Police and the Department of State Services. Qasim had claimed that some DSS officers acting on the orders of Aisha Buhari allegedly abducted her and took her to the presidential villa, where she was assaulted, dehumanized, and abused by the First Lady, with the support of officers of the DSS and police for deleting her posts on social media. In the suit obtained by Newsman today, she is asking the court to declare her arrest and detention unlawful. Away from that now, House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee on New Naira Redesign and Naira Swap Policy has said the current crisis over the Naira redesign by the Central Bank of Nigeria is capable of frustrating the forthcoming 2023 general elections. The committee also criticized the action of President Muhammadu Buhari on the crisis. Majority Leader of the House and the committee's chairman, Al-Hassan Adodogoa, made this known in a statement he issued today, about 24 hours after leading members of the committee to a meeting with Buhari at the presidential villa. The committee had commenced investigation on the controversy over the redesign of 1,000 naira, 500 naira, and 200 naira notes by the CBN, especially the scarcity of the new notes, while the old ones were rendered invalid by the CBN. Meanwhile, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia has arrested and detained about 800 Nigerians for various offenses bordering on irregular migration. This was contained in a statement signed by the head Public Relations Unit Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Gabriel Odu. Today, the Saudi authorities said 45,458 illegal migrants were in the country, hence the need to get rid of the undocumented foreigners. According to reports, the clampdown by the Saudi authorities began in October 2022. To electoral matters now, where Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has disclosed that internally displaced persons voting centers have been created for persons displaced by insecurity in Niger State. The Niger State Resident Electoral Commissioner Ahmed Garki who stated this during a stakeholders meeting today in Minna, said 247 polling units across the state were affected by insecurity in the state. He added that plans have been concluded to ensure that people from those units are not disenfranchised. In a related development, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has said that registered voters attached to new polling units will receive a text message that will enable them know their polling units. The INEC chairman Mahmood Yakubu, in a message to voters today, said the notification would aid in making voting more credible and result management more transparent. He also noted that the register of such voters for each state had been sent to the resident electoral commissioners for publicity, particularly through messages in local languages. The INEC chairman therefore urged all eligible voters to confirm their voting locations ahead of Election Day. Away from that, ahead of the 2023 general elections, the Kogi state government has ordered the closure of all public and private schools from Wednesday, February 22, 2023. The Director, Basic and Secondary Education, Kogi State Ministry of Education, Matthew Salami, disclosed this in a statement today. Salami noted that schools are to resume on Monday, March 13, 2023. According to the statement, management and teachers of schools are not affected by this directive. In a separate development, the Nigeria Police Force has handed over a total of 6,338 illegal arms and ammunition recovered from criminals and non-state actors across the country to the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons, domiciled in the Office of the National Security Advisor. The Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, represented by Deputy Inspector General of Police, Mohammed Danmalam, in the Force Headquarters Abuja, supervised the handing over of 3,980 arms of different calibers, 2,358 assorted calibers of ammunition, and 1,057 assorted cartridges to the agency. According to the Force Public Relations Officer Olumuyiwa Dejobi, the arms and ammunition were majorly recovered from armed criminals and other non-state actors in Owerri, Imo State, Jos, Plateau State, Sokoto, and Bauchi states. In the meantime, now the Commissioner of Police in Nasarawa State, Mayaki Baba, has accused politicians of collaborating with thugs to scuttle the 2023 electioneering process across the 13 local government areas of the state. CP Baba said this during the signing of a peace accord by candidates of political parties contesting for various positions in the state. He explained that information at the disposal of the police command indicated that some politicians who do not have confidence of winning the forthcoming elections were importing thugs into the state to cause mayhem during the elections. On the Naira redesign, the Jigawa state government has vowed to enforce the Supreme Court order restraining the federal government from banning the old Naira notes as legal tender. This was contained in a public notice made available to newsmen by the Jigawa State Commissioner for Special Duties, Awal Sankara. According to the public notice, commercial banks, corporate organizations, ministries, agencies, and traders must accept the old notes or face sanctions from the state government. In a related development, Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State has threatened to revoke the certificate of occupancy of banks, corporations, or stores rejecting the old Naira notes. Abiodun's threat is coming a day after President Muhammadu Buhari said only the old 200 Naira notes remain a legal tender. The governor, in a short statement today, reminded commercial outlets that there is an existing court order by the Supreme Court directing that the old notes remain legal tender. Meanwhile, Ekiti Assembly has urged President Muhammadu Buhari and the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) to obey the Supreme Court order on allowing old and new 200, 500, and 1,000 Naira notes coexist until the determination of the suit. The Assembly also told Commissioner for Finance and Economic Development Akintunde Oyebode to set machinery in motion to regulate the activities of point-of-sale POS operators with a view to saving the people of the state from exploitation and exorbitant charges imposed on them. In a resolution passed by the Assembly at a plenary today, presided over by the Speaker Olubunmi Adeluba, the lawmakers appealed to residents to remain calm in the face of the hardship they are going through over the scarcity of new notes, while urging them not to be provoked into engaging in any activities that could lead to breakdown of law and order in the state. The Assembly admonished the people to take the forthcoming general election seriously and vote responsibly. Away from that now, about 30,000 youths working under the Osun Youth Empowerment Scheme have been sacked by Osun State Governor Ademola Adeleke, who created another scheme known as the Imole Youth Corps. In a circular issued by the Secretary to the Osun State Government, Teslim Ibalaye, the state government said that the decision was taken to reposition the youth empowerment program inherited from the previous government for effective functionality, sustainability, and dignity of labor. Recall that the previous scheme was introduced on December 17, 2010 by former Governor Adesoji Areweshala in fulfillment of a promise he made to the people. Still to come in the news. CBN denies directing banks to collect old 500 1,000 Naira notes. Do stay with us.
As Nigeria prepares for the general elections holding from 25th February 2023, broadcasters are enjoined to make ethical reportage their watchword. All political programs shall observe the provisions of the Nigeria Broadcasting Code and other extant laws relating to broadcasting. All broadcasting stations must adhere to the principles of pluralism and ensure equitable airtime to all political parties or views. All political programs shall adhere to the general principles of legality, decency, and truthfulness. For the avoidance of doubt, the broadcast of a political campaign, jingle, announcement, or any other form of partisan party identification or symbol ends not later than 24 hours before polling day. Hate speech is prohibited. Be professional. NBC, your right to quality broadcasting. Announcer Management. As Nigeria prepares for the general elections holding from
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian.
From issues on politics,
Hello, Nigeria. Remain committed.
security,
Education, health,
lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken
every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Hey, thanks for staying tuned. Now, moving on to Africa, where deepening security and food crises are likely to dominate the agenda when heads of state convene in Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa this weekend, February 17 through 19, for the annual African Union AU Summit. According to United Nations figures, armed conflicts from West Africa's Sahel to the Horn of Africa in the east and the impacts of droughts and floods have driven ever more Africans from their homes, with the number of displaced people south of the Sahara Desert rising more than 15% over the past year. The UN estimates say 44 million people were displaced in 2022, up from 38.3 million people at the end of 2021. Meanwhile, AU Peace and Security Commissioner Bankole Adeoye is expected to try to rally support for a proposal for new financing of security operations from the United States, African Union members, and the European Union. Still in Africa, Tunisian President Kais Saied has rejected foreign interference following criticisms over a recent string of arrests targeting his critics. Saied said that Tunisia is an independent and sovereign state, not under colonialism or protection, and its sovereignty is above all other considerations. He added that the country was able to diagnose its problems. Recall that the US had said it was deeply concerned by the reported arrests of politicians, business leaders, and a journalist in recent days, but the president said he was acting in full respect of the law. Meanwhile, the foreign ministers of Mali, Guinea, and Burkina Faso are in Ethiopia's capital Addis Ababa ahead of an African Union summit to lobby it way back into the organization. All three countries were suspended from the African Union and the regional grouping ECOWAS following military coups. Mali's foreign ministry said the suspensions were hindering the desire of all three Sahel countries to make the transition back to civilian rule. Elsewhere, lawmakers in Burkina Faso have passed a bill creating a military unit charged with enforcing human rights on the front line in the ongoing war against insecurity. Called provostships, it will be made of soldiers drawn from national gendarmerie with the status of judicial police officers (OPJ) and military clerks. The minister said that there was a risk of human rights violations as the country's security forces intensify counterinsurgency operations to tackle growing insecurity in various regions. Burkina Faso security forces, backed by Volunteers for Defense of Fatherland (VDPs), have been battling jihadists, militants, and other armed groups occupying large areas in northern and western regions. In the meantime, the UN Refugee Agency says thousands of people are continuing to flee fighting and insecurity in the disrupted Somaliland town of Lasanad. Reports say an estimated 60,000 have crossed the border into Ethiopia in the past few weeks. The agency said many arrived exhausted and traumatized, carrying few possessions. Recall that fighting broke out earlier this month between local forces and those of Somaliland, whose declaration of independence has not been internationally recognized. Meanwhile, the US says it has killed 5 Al-Shabaab fighters in Somalia during a joint operation with the Somali army. The US Command in Africa, AFRICOM, said the airstrike was conducted in Beledweyne in central Somalia, about 460 kilometers from the capital Mogadishu. It said initial assessments showed that 5 militants were killed, but further investigations were continuing. Somali authorities said they had killed more than 300 Al-Shabaab militants in southern Somalia. It comes as Somali federal troops backed by the US clan militia and African Union troops continue a counterinsurgency against the Al-Qaeda affiliate. Elsewhere, at least 10 people have been killed in southern Mozambique, including the capital Maputo, after heavy rains unleashed floods over the past few days. The chairman of the National Disaster Management Institute and INGD, Louisa Mek, said 43,426 people were affected by the floods and that 10 were killed. Meanwhile, the governor of Maputo province, Julio Baruch, has urged flood-prone communities to comply with government evacuation orders or risk being forcibly removed. The UN has said humanitarian organizations were monitoring the situation and mobilizing to support government-led efforts. On the foreign scene, the French court has found 3 members of a far-right French group guilty of conspiring to prepare an act of terrorism in a trial over a violent plot against President Emmanuel Macron dating back to 2018. The Paris Criminal Court handed the 3 men sentences ranging from 3 to 4 years in jail, with 1 to 2 years suspended each. A 4th man was sentenced to suspended 6 months in prison for having possessed a weapon, while the other accused were released. According to reports, the 13 accused members of the Face group Les Bajols, made up of 11 men and 2 women, aged between 26 and 66, have been on trial since January 17. Meanwhile, prosecutors have said members of the group planned to attack the president with a knife during a World War I memorial ceremony in eastern France in November 2018. On now to the Turkey disaster, where death toll from the earthquake that has devastated parts of Turkey and Syria exceeded 41,000 today, as the United Nations appealed for $1 billion to address a growing humanitarian crisis 11 days after the quake, now one of the 10 deadliest in the past 100 years. Turkish rescuers pulled a 17-year-old girl and a woman in her 20s out of the rubble. But hopes of finding survivors have largely faded. Many in the affected zones are facing a dire emergency as they try to pick up the pieces in freezing conditions without food, water and toilets, raising the specter of further disaster from diseases. Still on the foreign scene, Bulgarian authorities said they had found 18 migrants dead in an abandoned truck as the Balkan nation struggles with an increase in illicit border crossings. According to reports, the vehicle was illegally transporting around 40 migrants hidden under some wood. The Interior Ministry said 18 of them have died. It is believed to be one of the deadliest people smuggling incidents recorded in the country. After locals alerted the police, they found the truck was located near the village of Lokosko, 20 kilometers northeast of Bulgaria's capital, Sofia. The United States President Joe Biden has been declared fit for duty by his doctor after the final annual medical checkup. The head of state and Commander-in-Chief Biden's physician, Kevin O'Connor, said in a letter published by the White House that President Biden remains a healthy, vigorous 80-year-old male that is fit to successfully execute the duties of the presidency, to include those of chief executive. He said that Biden has not declared a re-election bid, but is widely expected to do so for re-election in 2024. In business now, Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) has denied reports making the rounds that it has authorized deposit money banks to collect the owed 500 and 1,000 naira banknotes. In a statement by CBN's Director of Corporate Communications, Osita Nwanishobi, today, the Apex Bank said it is only reissuing and recirculating the owed 200 banknotes, which is expected to circulate as legal tender up to April 10, 2023, in line with President Muhammadu Buhari's directive. The CBN advised the public to disregard any message and/or information not formally released by the bank on this subject. It also advised media practitioners to endeavor to verify any information from the correct sources before publication. Still in business, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPC) has announced that it will commence the drilling of crude oil in Nasarawa State from March 21, 2023. The Group Chief Executive Officer of the National Oil Company, Mele Kyari, made the announcement when he visited the Governor Abdullahi Sule in Lafia, the state capital. According to Kyari, initial exploratory activities detected that there was a significant amount of oil in the state, noting that the NNPC is ready to do the necessary work to find the hydrocarbon resources. Meanwhile, the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) has revealed that the amount spent as subsidy on premium motor spirit (PMS), popularly called petrol, have crossed 400 billion naira monthly. NNPCL's Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari disclosed this at the headquarters of the oil firm in Abuja. Kyari explained that the oil company was spending about 202 naira as subsidy on every liter of petrol consumed across the country, stressing that about 65 million liters of PMS was pumped daily into the market by the company. Still in business, World Bank Group says non-tariff barriers and hurdles affecting cross-border goods crossings must be addressed in order to reap the benefits of the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFCFTA. The Washington-based bank in a report noted that the Free Trade Area, which hopes to connect 54 countries with a combined population of 1.3 billion and GDP of $3.4 trillion, has several challenges to overcome. It noted that African businesses should also see the opportunities, as its research suggesting that the agreement has the potential to bring significant economic and social benefits in the form of faster economic growth, higher incomes, and less poverty. Still to come in the news. South Africa named Bavuma as first black African test captain. Do stay with us.
Nigerian police, which is the only one allowed by grossly. Our governors have to share police powers with the president as stipulated by the constitution. We do not have a federal government police force. We have the Nigerian police force, which shall be administered, organized, and supervised by the Nigerian police force.
No, my lord, I want to say something. I want to say something here. Perhaps it might also enlarge the scope of people who should be invited here for examination. My lord, if we cannot find those who literally murdered Abiola, who are those people who could be said to be the beneficiaries of the death of Abiola?
Rogers has linked you with some of the killings he did.
He never did.
He linked you with the attempted murder of Hebrew.
He did not.
My lord, the Matters Council is leading the evidence in our matters.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord, but we can't be talking about cases which are in court, my lord.
Is this an adversary proceeding?
It's not, my lord. These cases are in court, my lord. I'm just reminding your lordship.
My lord, sorry, my lord, I think I'll be in cross-examination.
Legally Speaking, a program that deals with legal issues and questions we face as citizens of this amazing country, Nigeria. Legally Speaking. Join us every
Friday from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m.
for Legally Speaking.
Many thanks for staying tuned. Now in health, Nigerian Medical Association has called on the federal government and the Central Bank of Nigeria to proffer permanent solutions to the lingering naira and fuel scarcity crisis in the country. If not quickly resolved, the body said the situation would result to an upsurge in mental ill health among Nigerians. The association gave the warning today in a statement jointly signed by the Plateau State Chairman of the NMA, Dr. Lugden Stephen, and the Secretary, Dr. Bapigan Odi, respectively. The NMA said that having watched the unfolding developments within the polity over the past few weeks with keen interest, it was compelled to issue the statement regarding its possible negative impacts on the health of Nigerians. Still in health, the 38 people have been confirmed dead by the Jigawa State Ministry of Health in an outbreak of cerebellum spinal meningitis (CSM) in the state. The State Commissioner for Health, through the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry, Dr. Salisu Mwazu, said the disease has been recorded in 7 local government areas of the state that share a border with the Niger Republic. Mwazu, who confirmed the deaths while fielding questions from newsmen in his office in Datse, the state capital, revealed that the type of CSM reported from the affected communities was strange. Dr. Mwazu explained that a total of 398 suspected cases have been recorded across some towns and villages in the affected local government areas. In the meantime, the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control (NAFDAC) says products worth over 326 million naira were destroyed at Lafia, Nasarawa State. NAFDAC disclosed this in a post on its official Twitter handle, stressing that cartons of pharmaceuticals, soft drinks, and other products were destroyed. Reports say NAFDAC is responsible for regulating and controlling the manufacture, importation, exportation, advertisement, distribution, sale, and use of food, drugs, cosmetics, medical devices, chemicals, and packaged water. In sports now, the Nigerian Premier Football League Match Day 9 encounters between Nasarawa United and Remo Stars have been postponed. An official of Remo Stars told newsmen that the Interim Management Committee (IMC) postponed the game due to both teams' hectic traveling schedule in recent weeks. Meanwhile, the game was originally built to take place at the new Jos Stadium on Sunday. Still in sports, Temba Bavuma was today named the first black African captain of South Africa's Test cricket team in a major shake-up of the squad. Dean Elgar was axed as keeper, although he remains a member of the squad, which starts a series against the West Indies on February 28. Recall that Chief Selector Victor Mpitsan was fired and 5 players who were part of a heavy series defeat in Australia were dropped. At a press conference after the official announcement, it became clear that new coach Shukri Conrad had been given wide powers. In the meantime, while Real Madrid has just won the Club World Cup in Morocco, a new form of competition will see the light of day in 2025. The competition will bring together 32 teams, including 4 Africans, and will be played every 4 years. FIFA has also decided on the distribution of places of continent. European clubs take the lion's share with 12 places. They will represent more than a third of the participants in the competition, while South America obtains 6 places and Africa will be settling for 4 places, like Asia and North and Central America. In the meantime, the 2023 edition will take place in Saudi Arabia from December 12 through 22 in the presence of the winner of the African Champions League. Meanwhile, Chelsea legend John Mikel has named his former teammate Michael Essien as the Blues star that never gets the credits he deserves. Mikel also described Essien as a powerful machine, adding that the Ghanaian is a gentleman outside of football. Speaking with newsmen today, Mikel said Michael Essien never gets the credit he deserves. And on entertainment, 5-time Grammy Award-winning recording artist Drake has become the latest celebrity to peak. Who is the greatest player of all time? GOAT, between Paris Saint-Germain forward Lionel Messi and Al Nassr forward Cristiano Ronaldo. Messi and Ronaldo are arguably the two greatest players of their time. Both footballers have dominated the sport like no other footballer, with 12 Ballon d'Or awards, 1,400 club goals, and 9 UEFA Champions League trophies between them. Messi even added the FIFA World Cup trophy to his collection last December, which Ronaldo does not have in his corner. The Messi-Ronaldo debate has been raging on for over 13 years, with no definite answer still in sight. So on the entertainment, Big Brother has introduced a new rule that forbids communication between the male and female housemates in a shocking turn of events. Until Biggie declares otherwise, housemates of the opposing sex are not permitted to communicate with one another. The rule restricts both male and female housemates from communicating with each other. The housemates were also divided into 2 tribes, and they can only communicate through Yaya and Miracle, 2 mediators chosen by each gender. In the meantime, Nigerian singer Rema is starting his 2023 on a very high note as he announces that he will be dropping 2 songs, his first for the year. Now the singer via his official Instagram page dropped a snippet of the 2 songs, which are titled Holiday and Reason You. He said the song will be coming out at midnight today. Both singles showcase a new evolved sound for Rema, with up-tempo Holiday reflecting on his struggles and the sacrifices he has made in his life, from Benin City to his debut EP in 2019, highlighting his self-belief despite doubts, criticisms, and rejection. And lastly, tonight's star actor Chidi Mokeme has disapproved of the destruction of public facilities, especially automated teller machines, ATMs, across the country. Naira Crunch protest has been sparked off in some states across the country amid the lingering scarcity of the legal tender. As tension continues to rise with the continued unavailability of Naira notes to meet daily needs, many have started venting frustration by engaging in protests and utter destruction of financial institutions alongside other public facilities. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum News at 9. My name is Xavier Robert. You have a terrific night rest and a happy weekend.